Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. If you're a returning listener, it's great to have you back. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We hope you like what you hear. So, our podcast is for people that want to learn something new or make themselves a little bit better every day. That's our focus. So, we try to cover a wide range of topics, different things, a lot of things about controlling our emotions, controlling our mindset, and being more effective at the things we do every day. So, along that line, today's episode, we're going to talk about 11 phrases to avoid in a negotiation. And so we've negotiated a lot of things and we'll give you a bonus as well. But we've negotiated a lot of things in our lives. And a negotiation, first, let's just frame what a negotiation is. You're talking to someone else about a particular subject or thing that you're trying to agree on. So, negotiation is not simply in business. We say this a lot. A lot of people don't like to negotiate, they feel uncomfortable with it. Well, guess what? If you're in a relationship, you're negotiating pretty constantly. If you have children, you're negotiating pretty constantly. We have happened to have roles that required negotiation in our professional life quite a bit. And so we've got a ton of experience in negotiation. We've taken tons of trainings on negotiation. We've got real world experience on negotiation. And so we've done it a lot. Does it make us an expert? No, it does not. It makes us very experienced. And we want to share some of that experience with you guys. And hopefully you can use some of these things so you get better outcomes in your negotiation. So, first off, a negotiation is kind of like a dance, right? So there's a little bit of back and forth. It's coordination between two sides. You've got to have a little bit of finesse. You've got to have a little bit of grace in most instances. And you've also got to be cognizant of what the other person is thinking. You've got to think about things from their perspective. So empathy, not sympathy, empathy goes a long way in a negotiation. Thinking about how the other person is thinking, what they're trying to accomplish, what they're feeling. It's important. And so if you say the wrong thing, you can set someone down a bad road that makes it much more difficult to get the negotiation to a good spot or to get what you need out of the negotiation and help the other side get what they need out of a negotiation. So, sticking with our dance analogy, what if you said, "You dance like my mother," or "Gosh, you got two left feet," or "Hey, this really sucks." Right? Those are bad things. It would ruin the dance. It would make your partner uncomfortable, make them not want to dance with you. Same exact concept in negotiation. And so, what we wanted to cover was some things that we've learned from our past and kind of cover those with you guys and give you alternatives for how to approach these scenarios where you might want to use these phrases. So, with that said, let's jump into our 11 no go statements to use to avoid using in negotiation. We do not want to use these statements. We're going to give you alternatives instead of using these statements, other ways you can say something similar without saying these words. So the first one is to be honest. No, just no. To be honest implies that, okay, now I'm ready to tell you the truth because before now, I've not been telling you the truth. You don't need to preface the truth with a statement. Anytime I hear someone say, to be honest, that's exactly what I think. So, what part of what you told me before hasn't been honest? Because you just braced me or wanted me to be prepared to hear you tell the truth. So, that implies that at some point in this conversation, you have not been truthful with me. So, the way to do it is just to come out and tell the truth. Don't preface it with, to be honest. Just be honest. That's the way to do it. So, you've got to avoid that phrase because anyone that has any savvy, in our opinion, will pick up on that and go, oh, I got a problem here because something they've told me before has not been truthful. And a lot of times people will do this subconsciously because they need to prepare themselves to switch out of selling, lying, whatever mode you want to call it, and kick back into honesty mode. Not a good look. Not a good look. So you got to avoid that phrase at all costs. It's terrible. So to be honest, out of the vocabulary. Just tell the truth. Just come out and tell the truth. That's the way to do it. Next, our product is the best. This service is the best. Puffery. Stay away from puffery, right? It's one of the things that drives people nuts about Trump. It was the largest inauguration in history. It was the best economy in history. It was blah, blah, blah. No, it wasn't. We all know it wasn't. It's bullshit. We know it's bullshit. Don't do it. What you can do in those situations, if you're really excited about your product, your service, your offering, that's great. Emphasize specific benefits and specific features that make your product great, and specifically talk about how it will solve the other person's problems. Instead of saying puffery like you're on the Chris Farley show. Remember when you were in the Beatles? Remember you had John McCartney or Paul McCartney? I'm sorry, mix up or combine John Lennon and Paul McCartney. He had Paul McCartney on his talk show when he was on Saturday Night Live. Remember when you were in the Beatles? And Paul McCartney's like, yeah. You want to avoid that, right? It's just dumb. It's a waste of time. It turns people off, makes them feel like you're hard selling them. Don't do it. Be specific. There's nothing wrong with talking about specific benefits. We have cutting edge technology. We have technology that's patented that nobody else has in this piece of software, whatever the case may be. That's legit. That's a legit thing to offer, not our software is the best. No, nobody wants to hear that. So be specific when you're talking about the benefits and attributes of your product or service. Don't make generalized statements like it's awesome, it's the best, it's the bee's knees. Not going to help. So stay away from those things. Number 3, I'll give you X, but only if you sign today. Like putting pressure on people, bad way to go. Creating arbitrary deadlines or deadlines that don't actually exist to put pressure on people. It's really off-putting. It's a terrible way to go. It's going to make people shrink. It's going to make people retract. It's going to make people disengage from the negotiation that you're having with them. Just don't do it. What you can do is say, hey, what's stopping you from buying today? What objections do we have to overcome to make this make sense to you? Like, that's fine. There's nothing wrong. And if you've got a timeline, then understand what that timeline is. And we'll talk a little bit further about that on how to, instead of saying, look, I need to get this done by the end of the month so it counts towards this month's sales or this month's quota. We'll give you a tip down below on how to have that conversation, but stay away from, I'll give you X, but only if you sign, like putting pressure on people. It's funny. My wife and I we were in, I think it was Vegas. And we went to, someone stopped us in the lobby and said, hey, if you come to this presentation, we'll give you a free dinner. Okay, great. So it's a timeshare presentation. I was pretty sure that's what it was. No big deal. But they were so obnoxious and so annoying. I actually disrupted their presentation to the point that the speaker was like, hey, if you keep talking, I'm going to have to start over. And we actually forced our way out. They actually put you in a room and tried not to let you leave. And we forced our way out and walked back to the hotel. They took you on a shuttle, took you in this little room and tried to trap you and force you into buying a timeshare that day. Clearly it did not go well for the people we were dealing with. But when you put that hard pressure on people, they're going to resist. It's a real turnoff, and it's a bad way to handle negotiation. So asking what their challenges are that you have to overcome to get the deal done, perfectly fine. But putting an arbitrary timeline or trying to force them to sign, bad way to go. Next, trust me. Oh God, don't say trust me. I always say if someone tells you to trust them, you should not trust them immediately. Trust is something that is earned. It's not given. It's not granted. So if you say trust me, to me, that's a huge red flag. That means I should not trust you. And I tell other people, if someone says trust me, don't trust them. Right? It's kind of like saying, I don't mean to offend, because you know they're going to say something offensive next. That's how it works. I don't mean to say something controversial, but they're going to say something controversial next. So trust me needs to be out of your lexicon. Instead of saying trust me, say I'm confident that, I'm certain we can. I have a high level of confidence we'll be able to. Those are great ways to go instead of saying trust me. I have a lot of confidence we can get that done. That's the way to go. Trust me? Nope. It's got to stay out of your vocabulary. No, trust me. Does not work. Big red flag. Don't do it. Next, I need this deal done by X to hit my quota. So we had talked about this previously on, I'll give you X, but only if you sign today. Instead of focusing on when you need the deal done, take it all the way to Bright and say, okay, so let's assume for a second that this product or service is something you're interested in. If you wanted to start using it by X, the implementation process is this, the setup process is this, the due diligence process is this. That means we probably need to get this deal signed in the next 2 weeks so that we can hit those deadlines. That's exactly the same thing of trying to get it done by a specific date so it hits your quota or your numbers. but it focuses the conversation on how it benefits the customer to get the deal signed in the next 2 weeks, or how to get the other party to sign the deal in the next 2 weeks. So don't throw out your arbitrary quota. Don't try to guilt trip someone into that. Don't try to shame them into that. Focus it on how their needs are met by getting this contract signed in the next couple of weeks or whatever the timeline is. So that's a much better way to approach that conversation than, I really need this for my sales this month so I can make my mortgage. Don't go down that road. It's slimy. Nobody wants it. Next, this one might surprise you, but no, don't say the word no. You can say no without saying no. So we gave an example here. I don't know how to make that work. I'm not sure I can get that done. I don't think this will work for us. I don't think I can get that sold internally. Those are all different ways of saying no without using the word no. But using the word no in a negotiation, stay away from it because it has a finality to it. People hear no and it causes them to shut down. It causes them to disengage. All of the phrases I just used provide some hope. They provide, okay, I don't know that I can get that done, but let's talk about a potential workaround. Let's talk about another set of scenarios by which we might be able to make this transaction happen. But the word no is very final, and you want to try to avoid it at all costs in a negotiation. I will say that if you want to end the negotiation, no is the way to do it. Nope, we're not doing that. It's not going to happen. Thanks for your time. That's the way to do it. But that's the end of a negotiation. When you use the word no, it's really tough to come back from that, just so you know. Number 7, I'd like, I'd need, I want. Like, don't use language that refers to you. Don't use language that refers to your side. Keep it focused on how it helps them. If you need X, then you say, so it'd be great if you could provide X, Y, and Z so that we can use X, Y, or Z to do these things for you. That's the way to get that out on the table. Don't focus it on you. I actually remember went to a presentation one time that was put together by our finance team. And look, they're like great finance team. They were outstanding. They were not salespeople though. And in their presentation, there was a profit share in this presentation with this customer. And instead of at the bottom line saying, here's the customer share of the profit, we actually put our company share of the profit, which were exactly the same, by the way. It's a 50-50 split. But just packaging it so that it showed our profit instead of the customer's profit, huge miss. Huge miss on our part for not catching it. Huge miss on their part for putting it in there. So stay away from I'd like, I need, I want. Everything needs to focus on the other party's interests if you want to be successful. Number 8, that's not fair. Like, what? Like, what are you for? Like, that's not fair. Life's not fair. Things are not fair sometimes. If someone's making unreasonable demands, unreasonable requests, the way to counter that is to clarify. So I think what I just heard you say is this, and then use that information to pivot the conversation to another subject or a different way of approaching the same subject. So I need this closed by Friday. So I think I just heard you say you need to get this done this week. Is that right? Yes. Then you can focus on all the challenges you have to overcome to get it done this week and maybe push the deadline back. Or maybe say, if we took one of the ways I do this, like whenever I put a PowerPoint presentation together, I use 2 minutes per slide. So let's say you have a half hour to make the presentation and you go with a 20-page deck. That's a 40-minute presentation for a 30-minute window. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So if you need to recenter things or refocus things, change the way in which people are looking at it by using metrics like that so that it makes sense to them while you're trying to pivot. But that's not fair. Like it's an emotional argument. Fair is an emotional word. Stay away from those types of things in a negotiation because you're going to create an emotional situation. You don't know how they're going to respond to it. You don't want that. So always try to stay fact-based. Always try to keep the focus on their needs, their wants, what you're trying to accomplish for them. Number 9, you want a quality product, a low cost of goods or good service, right? Don't ask stupid rhetorical questions like that. Of course people want a low cost. Of course people want good service. Don't do those things. When I sold private label products to customers, I would say, instead of you want a good private label, right? I would say, If I told you that you could have a product that people could only buy at your store, because private label is specific to your store, you make more pennies per unit and you make a higher percentage per unit, would you carry that product? Of course you would. You already do. You just don't know that you do. So instead of you want, like, walk them through the benefits. I just walk them through all of the benefits it provides to them. Customers have to come to your store to buy it. You make more money and a higher percentage on every unit you sell than you would of the national brand equivalent. Of course you want to sell that product. Let me help you sell more of it. I can do that. So don't ask those stupid rhetorical questions. They're annoying to people. It's just not a good way to go. It makes you look like a hack, makes you look inexperienced. Don't do it. Number 10. I don't usually do this, but like we love the movie Fargo, right? And when he's arguing with the guy about the station wagon, the couple that's sitting in front of him, I ordered it without the True Coat. Well, boy, the boss doesn't normally do this, but he told me I could knock $100 off that True Coat, right? You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be Jerry Lundegaard in real life. So what you want to do is be specific about the standard terms to highlight you're providing some additional value. So we normally have 30-day net terms, but because you're a new and valued customer, we're going to extend it to 45 days for the first 3 orders so that you can try the product, get it sold, turn it back into cash, and use that cash to pay us. Don't do the, oh boy, the boss is in a good mood. I can't usually get this done, but I did today. Don't do that. Offer them the service or the benefit or the additional feature, but frame it in the context of, here's what our standard terms are for this transaction because it's important to us. We're willing to do this. That's a much better way to do that. You don't usually, don't do it, man. It's just cheesy. It's bad. Again, don't be Jerry Lundegaard from Fargo. Be straightforward. Don't be slimy. Next, I'll send over the contract right now for you to sign. Don't put that kind of pressure on people. That's not the right approach. Once you're at the finish line and you're ready to get this thing signed, the best way to do that is say, hey, look, I'm going to send over the agreement. You can review it. And if you're comfortable with it, then you can execute it. Right? So don't call it a contract. Call it an agreement. By using the word contract, it's really formal and it makes people think about it from a legal context. Avoid those kind of words. Avoid those kind of mistakes. They're not necessary. So I'll send over the agreement. Same thing. A contract is an agreement. That counts. And you can check it out. If you're good with it, you can sign it. If not, we can go through the points that you have to go through. Much better way to approach those conversations than I'll send it over and you can sign it right now. Like, don't get desperate right at the end. It's just a bad look. So refer to our previous episode of Selling Without Selling. Those same thought processes and concepts are true in the negotiation. So if you go through this list, you put these in your mind, you use the examples we gave you, you're going to wind up in much better spots in your negotiation than you have been if you're using any of these things, because these words, these phrases send people the wrong way. They're not useful. They're not productive. They're not successful in the negotiations we have participated in. Sharing that information with you so you can take those out of your lexicon and replace them with the phrases or the approaches that we gave you on each of these instances so that you can be more successful. So hope you guys find that useful. Again, we've negotiated literally thousands and thousands of deals. So this is a ton of experience that we're sharing with you guys. And we hope you're able to make it, take it and make it useful in your world. So James puts it up over here. Don't forget to check out our website, saltygingertalk.com. All of our social media content links are there. We've got all of our podcast episodes on our website. And we publish a newsletter every weekday that you can subscribe to on our website as well. And obviously, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on our podcast on whatever platform it is you consume it on. So it's super helpful for us if you're able to do that, and we really appreciate it. So that's it for today, guys. Hope that was useful. I've really enjoyed having you here. Everybody have a great week, and we will see you on the next one.